going to call this a meeting of the Arundel Planning Board to order. Today is August 6th, 2024. It is 7 p.m. We are in the municipal meeting room, and I will start with a roll call from the far end.
James Lowry.
Paul Green.
Susan Roth.
Rich Ganong. I am the chairman. We have a couple of items to look at. First off, we have approval of the agenda. We have approval of the minutes for both July 2nd and July 16th. We have a space for public comment. We have new business. We have two items under new business. We have Live Fit Athletics LLC conditional use application. And then we have Raptor Falls LLC site plan sketch review. We will then hear from the planner about anything that he has for us, and we will then adjourn and go home.
I'll make a motion. We accept the agenda.
Motion by Paul Green, seconded by Marty Kane. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
It is unanimous. Approval of the minutes of July 2nd. I can't approve my type.
Well,
Well, who's Marty? Marty's,
we
okay.
approve them with-
Just,
and
no,
leave
just,
it at that. I move that we approve the minutes July 2nd.
motion made by Susan Roth, seconded by Marty Kane to approve the minutes of July 2nd. Any discussion?
There is one correction I'd like to make, Mr. Chair, under item 4 for election of officers, recording secretary. It states Mr. McGinn nominated Mr. Shapiro. It is actually Ms. Roth. And it was not Mr. Lowry that seconded it, it's Mr. Kane. So I'll make those corrections and submit them.
Okay,
I move that we accept the minutes as corrected.
it's been a motion by Susan Roth, seconded by Marty Kane to correct the minutes, to accept the minutes as corrected. Any discussion? Hearing none. Those in favor?
Aye.
We were all here that day, right?
Yep.
Well, I know the three of us were, but I'm thinking, yeah, Marty and Jamie were both here because they both participated. Okay, next item is the acceptance of the minutes of July 16th.
So I move that we accept the minutes of July 16th as written.
Motion by Susan Roth, seconded by Marty Kane to accept the minutes of July 16th as written. Any discussion? Hearing none. Those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Jamie, you're abstaining. So we have 4 in favor, 1 abstention. The next item is public comment. This is that time during the meeting, if you have something that you would like to address the planning board about that is not on the current agenda, now's the time to stand up and let us know. And seeing the great rush of people toward the mic, I will assume that is a solid no. And we will continue on to new business. New business, item number 1, Live Fit Athletics LLC conditional use application. A proposal to create a private indoor community fitness center providing personal training, private group lessons, and lifestyle coaching. The parcel is located at 26 Commerce Drive on tax map 30, lot 31A 04 in the DB2 zone. The applicant will be leasing an existing 5,000 square foot building, which previously housed a private storage business. The owner of the parcel is Brimar Properties LLC, and the applicant and business owner is Christopher Gam. Did I say that correctly? Great. Thank you. Come on up, have a seat. Okay, before we get too far into this, you have a letter requesting some waivers, but the application itself does not indicate that you want any waivers.
Where in the, I don't know, do I
There-
talk into?
there is
the-
a-
You don't pick up,
Okay.
it's redundant.
There is a conditional use review application checklist.
Yep,
It's 3 pages in length. This is where you would have indicated, there's a specific column, applicant request to be waived, and nothing was checked off. If there's nothing checked off, then the application is not complete unless you are not requesting waivers.
okay. I mean, yeah, I am.
Okay,
Yeah,
I want to let you know, this is the document that we go by. Yes, you're going to request waivers. Yes, you have to put it in writing and tell us what you want to do. But if it's not on the checklist, it didn't occur because
Okay.
this is part of the process.
okay,
And I will leave it up to the board as to how they want to handle that. It's my opinion that the application is incomplete.
So it looks like that you, I'm looking at the application and it appears that the stuff that you're asking for waiver, which is the on-site soil, stormwater drainage and those items,
yes, sir.
instead of checking applicant request to be waived, they check do not apply.
But they do
So,
apply.
it would have to be corrected before you come in for the final, I would imagine.
It will have to be corrected,
Right.
yes.
Okay. I'd still like to hear what,
Oh, I've got no problem with that. I wanted to bring it to the applicant's attention and to the rest of the board's attention. But at this point, it is an incomplete application and we can't proceed forward to a public hearing until that gets resolved. Right.
Okay.
Okay.
So I guess beyond that, then, the conversation for me is, I'm running a semi-private, fitness and personal training and lifestyle gym. We are hoping to move into the new space at 26 Commerce Drive, which is about 5,000 square feet. And in that facility, there is no, on the external of the building, there is no expansion. Nothing's changing about the physical location of the building. We're simply just taking our existing building and kind of moving it in. The waivers that I did request, one of them was the parking situation, which you'll see up here. It does say in section 512.3.5, the required parking spaces. For about a 5,000 square foot unit, right? I would need about 50 parking spaces, and my gym being a private gym, we only need anywhere from 15 to 20. So I was hoping to see that be allowed, where I'm allowed 20 spaces for my one unit, not the required 50. And then beyond that, the other waiver was the testing of traffic and soil and whatnot, environmental back, because in my opinion, there was nothing that we were doing that changed sort of the traffic being off of Route 1 about a quarter of a mile in a private way. No change to the parking lot itself, no change to the building, no change to the actual site itself. My goal in moving to Arundel was basically bringing what I've developed as a community gym and bringing people together, and basically very different than your commercial gyms such as like Quest Fitness or Planet Fitness. This is a private gym where it's appointment only through me, the owner. So this isn't foot traffic in and out. These are set times that people come and go, at my accepted time. And, yeah, beyond that, a little rattled, so trying to catch my brain here up to all this. I was able to speak with the fire chief, Andrew Stevenson, which I was able to send in a letter of compliance from him. He came by yesterday. We walked the property together. He saw no issues except for just updating a few things such as the fire extinguishers and then getting the fire alarm system turned on. I spoke with the Public Works head of Public Works, Terry, yesterday and today, and he told me that there's no issue considering that it's a private drive, so there was no concern coming from him. Beyond that, some of the application completeness, the signature of the property owner and the rights. I included a few of the leasing terms with the owner, Brymar Properties, involved with my name as well. There are no change to the lighting plans of this building either, and that was also part of the application. So I didn't have any use in reporting change in that, as well as signage plans, considering that the actual ownership of the property is not me. They're going to be responsible for the signage by the street, and I'm not. I have no plans for signage on the building itself. Just in the front door, there will be literally just a name of Lifford Athletics just taped to the door. There will be no actual big sign. So the owners, Brymar or Charles, who owns the property itself, he informed me that they are the ones responsible for the signage out by the street. And then beyond that, yeah. Oh, and then one of the things I was asking, which obviously will not happen. I was asking, considering the nature of my business, where I'm dealing with people with serious health concerns, people with diabetes, people on medications. My oldest is 90 years old, type of stuff, where I work with them. I was hoping that if there was any extreme like changes, such as like recommending a second bathroom and whatnot, if there was an ability to show the progress, but still allow some of my personal training clients to participate in their daily routines with me. That was one of my waivers or just submissions for request as like a soft opening. But beyond that, I don't think I have any more comment on my business and the position I'm in.
To the chair.
Yes, go ahead.
So I have two questions, but what you would like is to be able to operate your facility, your gym, while you make certain accommodations for clients that might be disabled or unable to use regular facilities like bathroom showers and things like that. Is that what you're, so are you planning on making those changes, or
if
only
it was,
if you
if it
have
was
to make
deemed,
those changes?
if it was deemed necessary, so we do currently have a bathroom that is up to commercial standards with handicap accessible, and all that, but speaking with forget the code enforcer, Jim, thank you. Jim, he just recommended that there might be an opportunity of like a second bathroom and whatnot. So that's kind of the idea I was thinking about, that if there was recommendation for a second bathroom and whatnot, I was asking that if that stuff is going to have to be built out, that I could still have people able to still use continue the bathroom that we already have while we build out a second.
So did Jim say he wanted you to have a second bathroom?
No, it
Or
was
he
it was just that sorry for interrupting.
No,
He just recommended those are the things to start thinking about and start adding. So I wanted to just put that in there, if as like almost like a prerequisite of if these are some of the conversations that maybe there can be a conversation of allowing some of my members to use the facility while some of these additions were added.
So my second question
Yes.
is the entire building going to be used for training?
The 5,000 square feet.
Yes,
So there will be there's a reception area that was there currently that we're gonna be bringing up to what I believe commercial standard, which takes about probably 800, 750 square feet. And then we have built, hoping to use the rest of the space minus storage area for equipment and whatnot. For open, what we call open gym space. So the model of my gym is it's not machines. It's just like an open gym format. So yes, the remaining 4,000 square feet would be used for gym space.
okay.
Yes,
So you're not going to offer a massage or anything like that
not
in
the,
another part of the,
no,
okay.
ma'am.
Right, thank you.
What
James?
was the original site plan approved? What were the uses associated with the original site plan? Do you know that, or you perhaps? know
Jamel
that?
might know the answer.
It says vehicle storage and maintenance. Our luxury vehicle.
Originally, this is the one way back down then. We had quite a discussion on it, there was 4 or 5 hotel for his antique cars. I don't know if you remember that terminology I used then. But I think also, is this the same building that at one time afterwards, and we had a machine shop in there?
So there are two connecting buildings and the back one, the back building, I believe was the one that was used more for a machine shop. The one I'll be in or hoping to be in was used for the luxury. And I would definitely say kind of hotel vibe for cars. I spoke with the guy who built it. He said this was done to the highest standards because he had very high quality assets in it. Yes,
I could use that as a 4 or 5.
it's a great way of describing it,
Yeah.
and that's why it was very attractive to me. Wanting to put a gym in that space.
I'm not sure that we can give you a waiver on the parking that is defined by ordinance, and I don't believe we can waive that requirement.
Even though
That would be a question for Jamel.
It's in section 5,
Right.
which is not a zoning standard. So I believe that those performance standards can be waived by the planning board, just not the zoning standards. Which is section 6. So it includes driveway standards, emission, erosion control, landscaping and buffering, lighting, noise, off-street parking,
Okay.
stormwater. Those are pretty typical.
But we also have a minimum requirement, and he's asking us to go below the minimum. And we have a nice little chart in the ordinance. That's where I'm coming from. I'm not sure if that's waivable.
You are able to
can.
waive it
Okay,
legally.
and if I can make a comment on that, the amount of people that come in is anywhere from 10 to 15. And a lot of them are families where they're using the same car, and a lot of them are friends where they are carpooling. So it is not, and that was sort of my hope, was that we would not envision it as a huge, large gym where it's piled with cars. There is Again, it is a private membership only gym, where people are coming in at my appointed time or their appointed time with me or another coach of mine. And that is why I asked for
Are
the,
you the only trainer in the gym or? do
at
you-
this moment,
At this moment?
yes.
Through the chair.
Yes,
I just wanted to touch on the question about a complete application. The language in the site plan ordinance, requires that the applicant complete or provide all relevant information necessary to make a reasonable and informed decision. And in my experience, typically the written justification is enough information for the board to make an informed decision, whereas I don't know if a check mark on an application would
the
lead
check,
to an informed decision. in
the
my
check
opinion.
marks on the application tells us that he's requesting a waiver. Without that check mark on that schedule, we don't know that he's requesting a waiver.
But in the application, he states that he is, and he has the reasoning why.
I'm
So it's
sorry, but
really a matter of
if,
whether the
if
check-
you were, if you were to say to me, we would respectfully request your consideration to waive the requirement for conducting the following, but not limited to additional studies on the property, environmental, soils, traffic, and any other. That's not acceptable.
Okay.
You can't say any other requirements without naming what those requirements are going to be.
That's the discretion of the board. Thank you.
Chair.
Yeah, Marty.
That's the way we've done it before, and that's the way we've always been done. I mean, and when we've had questions about waivers or anything else, but we've never had any blanks and then go along that way. All the years I've been on the board, and quite a few.
And well, he's going to be amending the application and putting the checks in the checklist. Any other questions from the board?
Well, I would say let's walk down through for the applicant's benefit while he's here with us.
Yep.
Let's walk down through the items he noted as does not apply
Okay,
and make a collective decision with him on which ones truly do not apply and which ones he should justify a waiver for.
okay,
I think that's a good thing.
right.
So the first one I see is medium intensity soil survey. He's not, from what I understand, you're not proposing any changes to the exterior development
No, sir.
of the site.
No, sir.
I had a question on it. Are the parking spaces already all there and identified?
The owner, Remar Properties, they just finished the pavement of it and they are in the process of doing the parking
So
process.
if anything, it'd just be painting lines, that's
Yes,
it,
sir.
right? All right.
Yes, sir.
So, Jamal, I have a question. So if he's not making any changes to the outside of the building and it was accepted as is when it was built or developed, then, and approved, then he may be correct that it really doesn't apply as opposed to his seeking a waiver. Because this is really about making physical alterations, some kind of physical alterations to the property. As opposed to, because the property is exactly going to remain exactly as it was originally approved in terms of its shape, size, and the amount of impervious, surface.
Right.
So I in my opinion, which is pretty lowly when it comes to development, I would say it really doesn't apply and doesn't require a waiver.
I think that's a fine approach. I would also say this is essentially a change of use application. It's not, there's really no like changes to any site elements other than maybe some striping on the pavement, so. I think that you're on track with that.
Okay.
Mhm.
So the next one is location, type, size of incineration devices, noise sources such as machinery. And are you saying no such devices exist on the property and consequently it does not apply?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, well, I think the same principle applies to the one that I was applying to the first one. And I think he's
I agree.
correct in,
Yeah.
in checking it does not apply. Okay, moving right along here. Location and inventory of outdoor material storage. Are you going to have any outdoor material storage?
No, ma'am.
No. And was there any outdoor material storage beforehand?
No,
So there's no, again, there's no material alteration to the outside of the property in any way. So why would he need a waiver?
I agree.
It does not apply.
I agree.
So I think that's
Mhm.
correct. It does not
Yep.
apply. Moving right along here. Not to make-
No landscaping is proposed.
No, because he's not making it, he said
And
he's not gonna change anything.
Right. That's the next one on the
Yeah,
list.
oh,
I
so,
was just taking over, like,
oh,
giving you
no,
a break.
sorry. I was, yes, I think you're right. It does not apply.
Um, Now, what about this signage?
Well, he said the owner of the building is responsible for the
Okay.
signage.
He's not putting any except.
So he doesn't have any signage except what's
Right.
on the
Yep.
door.
Okay,
I can't think of what that term is, but it's not a billboard, but whatever it is that the owner has where he
yeah,
puts up
out-
all of the
out
signs.
front,
Yeah.
yeah. We-
I just can't think
and
of what we call it.
ultimately, we've presumably already reviewed or
Yes,
the
It's like-
town has already reviewed and approved.
Yeah, it's
we,
like a
we
legend,
reviewed it when we
right?
went through.
Yep.
Like a
A
legend.
legend. thank you.
Yeah, I think that's what
Okay.
it is.
Um,
Helping
So-
you here.
yeah, on-site soil investigation, he's not proposing a septic system,
Nope.
so does not
Stormwater.
apply, yep. Stormwater, no change to the external impervious areas. Now, traffic study, since there is a change in use, I could see that item requiring a requested waiver.
Yeah, it is a change in use, so you would expect a waiver on that.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Yep. Groundwater study, I think, is similar.
Market study,
Yeah,
yeah. Physical impact, no. He's got the letter from the fire chief.
I have a problem with the letter from the fire chief.
so I would indicate that one would neither does not apply nor a waiver. I think that's appropriate to have, which he submitted, or the fire chief has.
Well, the fire chief submitted it, but he's got recommendations that he needs to accomplish.
Okay,
And I would think that,
so that to me does not play into completeness.
oh, no, I'm not saying it plays into completeness.
But I would say for number 12 there at the end of the checklist, that would be part of this right here is part of your submission.
Yes, sir.
Right, so that
Right.
you would check submitted by
Right,
applicant.
exactly.
Correct.
And you said
Yep.
you spoke with Jerry?
Yes.
Well,
Okay, so-
Terry doesn't need to do anything because this isn't on a public road. It's on private property.
Yes, sir.
So we wouldn't,
So you leave it,
So
and it
does
does
not
not
apply.
does not
apply.
apply.
Yes.
Yep.
So far, the only waiver you're gonna need is some kind of a traffic study.
Oh, and then the last one on the following page is letter from the contract deputy, so police.
And that,
And would he need that?
well, that's what we have to decide. Would he need, does he need the letter from the contract deputy?
I would say no, but I mean,
I can't imagine that his use is going to be,
Yeah, no, I can't see any reason why he would need to have it.
right.
It's, unless, of course, you're going to put in, Al Capone's secret safe out in the back and somebody might have to go look at it.
I would presume the previous use would have more sort of risk
Yes,
of
yeah,
needing police
Right.
activity than, as long as emergency vehicles can get in and around, which has already been addressed by the layout of the site.
Yeah.
right. So it probably.
so I think it's just the traffic impact study that you
Yeah.
want to request a waiver. And when you do just this page, I just do the 3 pages of the checklist. Because everything else appears to be complete and we can just add them into the packet and say, okay, we've got the letter from the Arundel Fire Chief. We have that. Nothing else in there.
And what I would suggest is that when you resubmit this checklist, bolster your argument on why the parking requirement should be relaxed.
Okay.
And why the traffic impact study should be waived due to the, negligible, impact that you anticipate from, not to put words in your mouth, but, that type of argument to give us the information we need to agree with you.
Thank you.
Through the chair.
Yeah, Jamel.
I think he did provide that on page 79 in his application. That's what I was referring to earlier. He has a summary of waiver requests to support his application. So it's just reading for the.
Oh,
Yes, I do.
That
have
is-
Where am I here?
that is buried.
That's the information that I was pointing to before. Thank you.
Oh,
Wait,
thank you for bringing that up, Jamel.
Yeah, I saw it on a written letter that we had, but I don't see,
The very last bit of the paper document.
where it says waiver requirements?
Yep.
oh, okay. I was looking for page 79.
I was too, but there are no page numbers, so.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, he's looking at it on his PDF.
Okay,
Yeah. So there's 2 waiver request summaries there in that page,
Yep.
which I'm not sure if that's what you're looking for.
Yeah, this would do, it just needs to get changed on the checklist on the application.
So to me, if that's all he needs to do, I say we move forward with the understanding that if that's not done, by the time we go to have a site walk and a public hearing, we don't have the site walk in the public hearing.
I second that suggestion.
I will make an emotion that we move to deem the application complete with a condition that a new checklist is submitted, that, just like how we went over, and that submission will occur before the, any site walk or public hearing is conducted. That doesn't mean we won't vote on and set a date tonight for the sidewalk and the public
Right.
hearing, but we'll cancel it if we don't have that in.
Yeah.
hand.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so we have a motion by Mr. Lowry to grant conditional approval as a completed application pending the receipt of a new checklist for the application.
I'll second that.
Okay, seconded by Susan Roth. Any discussion?
Do the waivers have to be approved first?
No,
There's-
no, because we can always
Oh,
deem,
part of it?
Right.
Yeah.
No, fine, I just want to make sure the record
Okay.
is right. Got me taking notes, so.
okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? It is unanimous.
All right. So. Do we need to do a site walk?
I don't think so.
I don't even.
I don't, there've been no changes to the
Right.
exterior conditions.
I agree. But I presume we do need to do a public hearing.
Yes, I think we should.
We do need to do a public hearing because it's a change of use.
So I move that we do not, schedule a sidewalk, but that we do schedule our public hearing, at this point in time.
Those are two conflicting sections. They need to be done separately. You can't,
Okay, well, I make a motion that we don't have to, conduct a site.
we don't, I'm not even sure that requires a motion.
Oh.
We're just not gonna do it.
Just won't do one.
Well. Chair,
Yeah, Marty.
policy. And for which I brought up to another issue beforehand and something else. We've always done a sidewalk no matter what.
We've always done site walks in the past, but they've always been conditional use changes. There's no change to this other than the use. So I'm not sure that,
I'm just
Yeah.
saying for clarity, because even if we just take a peekaboo at it or something of it, not being a long site walk, even though it's old, but we've actually been physically there. That's what I'm going at.
Well, would a
I'm-
motion avoid that? Having to take a peek?
we can make it so.
Okay, I move that we
Do not.
do not have to schedule a sidewalk for this particular application.
Is there a second?
I'll second that we waive that sidewalk.
Okay. A motion has been made by Susan Roth, seconded by Paul Green to waive the site walk. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed?
Fine.
4-1. I don't want to go do it. I saw the building when it went in. Okay, next item on the agenda.
Oh.
No,
Public hearing.
I don't mean on the agenda. I mean
Oh.
on here. Oh. Should we address the waiver of the park or the change in the parking? If I understand correctly, it has been paved, but it has not been striped.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Then, given that criteria, if it had not been paved, I would have said, no, I want it all laid out because you don't want to block somebody else coming in later. But considering that it's been paved, it just hasn't been striped. If you want him to just stripe 5 spaces for it or 10 spaces for it, I don't see what the big problem would be.
Totally agree.
That I was,
Why don't you have an ADA?
oh, yes.
I would contend that a parking area without stripes, you're gonna get less vehicles in. People tend to give themselves a little more room
Right.
between cars and a 20 space parking lot becomes a, 16 or 18 space parking lot because people don't, they just naturally see it at someplace that I'm very familiar with.
And-
People give themselves a little more extra room and you get less cars.
Mhm.
So,
The less damage.
yeah, and so where the request is for a, significant reduction in our parking standard, I would suggest that we don't go away from striping the parking spaces.
Oh, okay, that. Again, this would be an issue for Bryn Mawr as to whether or not they want to. Unless you're saying that we're not going to waive the 50 requirement.
Well, aren't they planning on striping the parking
That is
spaces?
the conversation.
Oh, then I
Yeah.
don't think there's any issue. I don't think
Right.
we need to look at a waiver or anything else because it won't have an impact on Bryn Mawr striping the parking lot.
Right, so I mean, I think the issue is the pretty generic requirement that's meant, from a commercial recreational space that's a very broad net. Do we have the justification based on his use and his operation that we're comfortable saying, okay, you've got that many patrons at any given time, we're comfortable with only 20 spaces.
But I would look at it and say, given that the landlord plans to stripe the entire parking lot, it makes the question of a waiver completely irrelevant. He doesn't have to use the 50 spaces. The landlord's going to stripe them anyway.
They may not have to, if he
And if he wanted the landlord to only stripe 20 spaces
Yep.
and leave the rest of the impervious area unstriped, what difference does it make? The space is still there.
He'd still have 50 spaces,
He
whether
still
they were
has
striped or not.
Room for
I don't think
50.
he does have 50 spaces. I think that's his.
Oh, I thought he did.
No.
It just. He's not asking to add.
He's asking, the ordinance requires one space for every 100 feet.
Right,
On a 5,000 square foot building, we're looking at 50 parking spaces.
exactly. He was proposing 20.
But my point is, if the landlord is going to stripe the property, if you tell them to stripe just 20, that's fine. It just means that you've got that other space that if you needed it at some point, you could park cars there.
Okay.
It's just not in a striped spot. Because if we say yes, all you can have is 20 cars there, the landlord's going to have a piece of land out in front that he can't use because it goes with your facility.
To be transparent, and I probably shoot myself in the foot here, but I don't think there is in that current parking lot enough spaces for 50
Right.
spaces.
Yeah.
And so that is part of why I'm requesting the 20 is because the lot itself, the current parking lot does fit my business, but it just doesn't fit the ordinance of
Okay,
the
Right.
5,000 square
I
feet.
mean,
But
I'm counting based on the plan.
Okay.
33 spaces
Okay,
total.
Yes, sir.
I'm kind of confused by that because when the project was first put in place, we would have told him he needed 50 parking spaces
It
on
was a
five.
different use.
It was a different.
The garage.
Okay, you're right.
Wasn't it?
Never mind,
Wasn't the
It was a
gym.
different use.
never mind.
So,
Uh,
I mean, ultimately, if we get to the point of approving this, I think part of our conditional use approval has got to be, regulating the number of patrons that he can have to accommodate the reduced parking spaces. Now, that being said, I think he probably also could look at his layout and, from the 5,000 square feet, deduct out office and storage and, any number of different things.
the
that-
reception area,
Right,
whole bunch of other
exactly.
things
Locker
that doesn't-
rooms,
Oh, I didn't-
things like that.
I didn't even know that. So, yeah.
Yeah, that,
so then
that
it
could
brings him
help
under.
to bring that overall number down a little bit. So if you had a bit of a breakdown of your architectural layout,
Mhm.
that would be helpful to have to justify the waiver as well.
Right, because if you end up with 3,000 square
Which
feet
most likely.
of usable space, you only need 30
30.
spaces.
Right,
And you have space for 33.
so to go from 50 to go from 30 to 20.
Yeah.
Is a whole lot easier thing for us to do than 50 to 20.
Understood.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
anything else?
I have nothing else on this application.
Do we need to schedule a public hearing
We do.
a month from now?
Yeah, because I,
Weekend.
I think the next meeting is the day after that.
Like this. Running wild.
Okay, well, you got over quite a few
The-
hurdles.
Thank you.
the first planning board meeting in September is on the 3rd.
That's the
Want to do it that
day
day?
after Labor
Tuesday
Day.
after Labor Day.
Tuesday after
I'm
Labor
fine
Day?
with that.
So be it.
Okay.
So it's a legitimate working day.
And so the only thing I need to submit is that checklist. Is that what is?
And reduce the size of the usable area so that it makes the waiver for the parking.
Whether it's a plan or whether it's just a table
Okay.
that shows what you've got in different uses,
Right,
office, storage, locker room,
Okay.
restroom,
right.
fitness area,
That
then,
reduces, right, the
as that-
overall
Okay.
usable footprint.
they all add up to close to 5,000 square feet. And
Okay.
that gives us some additional information.
Okay, thank you.
Good.
Did the chief give you any indication as to when he wants all of this stuff done?
He wanted just to see my progress so he did not give me a timeline, no.
Okay,
He just wanted to know that I was working on it.
okay. We will probably, if it's not done, we'll probably if we grant you the permit, we'll grant you the permit conditioned upon getting this letter from the fire chief saying that all of this stuff is done beforehand.
Yes, sir.
Should we just anecdotally address this question about changing restrooms or anything like that, and that's really not under our purview?
No, it's nothing that the planning board has control over. That's exclusively Jim Nagel and codes enforcement. So if you want to change them, I think, what do you have to have one? If
Well,
you
he
want to
already
put in,
has one.
I have-
well, but if he wants to change it around or move it or put some,
Okay.
that's entirely up to codes.
So do we need a motion for us,
Public
a
hearing.
s- a
We need
public
a,
hearing?
we need a motion for a public hearing on September 3rd, was it?
Mhm.
Yes. Motion for a public hearing on September 3rd.
Second.
Motion by
Third.
James Lowry, seconded. Seconded by Marty Kane to have a public hearing on September 3rd, 2024. Any discussion? Hearing none, those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? It's unanimous.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next item, Raptor Falls LLC site plan, sketch plan, a proposal to expand an existing business located at 1912 Portland Road on tax map 15 lot 12 in the BI zone. The expansion consists of a second 18-hole mini golf course, a bumper boat pond, a climbing trailer, an outdoor seating patio, a party pavilion, a building, as well as an access road and associated parking area. The owner of the property is Raptor Falls LLC. The applicants are Clifford and Bree Gachkowski. Did I butcher that badly enough?
Jakowski. You're pretty close.
And the applicant's engineer is Andrew Morrow, PM, PE of BH2M. Welcome back.
Good evening.
Tell me about this great plan you have.
It's
Well-
a great plan.
I think you pretty much just outlined it right there. Yeah, we want to put another 18 holes to the left of the existing 18 holes.
This is the existing golf course here. This will be the new.
And then the 18 holes in the bumper boat pond are going to be attached to the top. They're going to share water features. We're gonna have we're gonna build an access road to the back. We want to put our parking in the back. Just because we're probably gonna need a little bit more parking. And the way that the property is laid out, we didn't really have a choice, because this is all ledge over here. And this is all a very steep grade over here, and would just be cost prohibitive to put the parking anywhere else. This is all really flat back here, so it just kind of makes sense. So we're gonna need a new building, so when people drive up to park, they'll enter the building there, buy the tickets for whatever features they want to visit. We're gonna have a new outdoor seating patio in the front, and we want to have a couple of climbing walls set up over there. So
Okay.
it's kind of what they call like a wagon wheel design, where people go centrally into the building, and then once they come out, they can visit whichever attractions they would like.
Is the golf course going to be raptored as well?
Oh, yes. Full.
What is an adventure golf course?
I think it's just an expression to sort of,
Define the type of mini golf course we have now.
it's like, it's kind of selling it. It's not just mini golf, it's adventure mini golf. They get to adventure through the dinosaurs.
Oh,
It's just a-
because you have a disc golf going across the street.
Yeah.
There is, yeah.
Yeah.
As soon as they open, I'll find out what it's
I
like.
just thought maybe this with the word adventure
I know,
or something
it's
similar.
gonna be very similar style course as what we have now.
Yeah.
Same theme, just different hole designs.
You're gonna use your same vendor that supplied all the dinosaur, motif of things?
Most likely,
Most
yes.
likely.
That's probably the one question that we'll get.
What kind of dinosaurs?
Yeah, right. The dinosaur is gonna look like the ones they have now.
They'll be different.
Yeah, they'll be different. We kind of have all the classic dinosaurs on the first course, T-Rex and Velociraptor and Triceratops and Brachiosaurus, and then we'll put some more exotic, different ones on the second course. It'll be pretty much same theme.
Board have any questions for the applicant?
How many bumper boat on cars are you gonna have?
I'm sorry?
How many bumper boats?
I think
That's
it's
12.
12. yeah.
12, so 12 boats at one time.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah, and they're electric.
right, like a bumper cart, but in water.
Yes.
Right. Yeah. Not noisy though, they're
There's-
electric,
There's zero.
not
noise.
gasoline. They used to make the gasoline ones, they have the electric.
What is the
Not like a
depth-
go-kart track.
Correct.
What is the depth of the water?
Is it 3 feet?
It's either 2.5 or 3 feet.
Yeah.
It's pretty shallow.
I mean, this, one reason I'm asking that is it gonna be fenced in somewhat? So that like any danger, swimming pool, is there gonna be somebody there all the time? If it was open, or is it? So you don't have need a lifeguard or something other, I'm only asking
Yeah.
that for a safety question.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
I don't know if you thought about that yet or not.
Oh,
We
I thought about
have, she thinks about it all the time.
Yeah.
We call her liability Bree.
Yeah, especially after hours, Marty, when the facility is closed.
Yeah, we'll definitely have some sort of fencing
There-
around it.
Yeah, there is a criteria for safety fencing, and I don't have the details on
Yeah.
it right now,
The builder
but it
has
will
something,
be there.
yeah.
Yeah. I think,
Oh, yeah.
Thought.
yeah, no, it's Castle Golf again that's building it, and they've built, plenty of bumper boat ponds, and they're all, everything's under compliance with them, whatever the national standard is for safety around those kind of water features.
Paul?
Looking at your plan, the parking lot looks like it's very close to the border, the boundary line.
Yes.
How close is it?
I would say it's about 8 to 10 feet as I'm showing it right now. We still haven't determined.
We had a 25-foot boundary.
I think so.
Still haven't determined how big that parking lot's gonna be. We've just kind of put something on there as a placeholder at this time to show that. We certainly are gonna work through. Yeah, how many parking spots they really think they need and try to maximize the distance off that property line, obviously.
Yeah, but I thought we required a 25-foot boundary around the edge.
Is that a building setback or typically?
I'm trying to,
Yeah.
I gotta look it up, I'll be honest with you,
Yeah,
okay?
the
I just
building
looking at the
setback-
plan now, I just realized it's getting pretty close to the boundary.
The rear building setback is 25,
But that typically doesn't apply to a parking.
Does it?
But I mean, you want to make sure you've got enough room if we've got to do any buffering or anything else.
Yep. And again, we're not tied to this layout, we're just, putting something on paper
Yeah.
to start the conversation. That's why we're here tonight, to get some direction from the board and before we jump into the design.
Any, in your future building that's right back there, any general idea of what the plans would be for that, understanding it is in the future? Well, so essentially, would there be any restrooms or?
The idea is there'd be, storage, 2 restrooms, area to scoop and serve ice cream,
Yep.
little gift shop area, and then some seating inside.
So
And that's a rough.
would you guys be looking to do a second, septic location off of that or tie that back down into the existing one?
That is
Or does that
a
go?
question for the engineers. I'm not sure how we'd probably look into this. I mean, I'm not sure how we would connect.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's our leach field and septic is right to the right of our clubhouse right here. So I just don't know how you tie. It'd probably just be cheaper to do a new septic.
Have a separate-
It would.
Yeah.
Yeah. I imagine that this will necessitate us needing a new septic system.
You're gonna have to do a lot of blasting, because you had to blast to get in there.
Yeah, oh yeah, yeah, we're no strangers to blasting. Yeah, we had the blasters there the first time.
So I'm looking at the letter from Julie Pitt.
We're not discussing any of
Oh, okay. Well,
those are all going to come up at a public hearing.
okay, sorry. I put it back. I am not. I gotta look at that.
Yeah, Jamel.
Just through the chair, I was gonna just note that the board did receive 2 letters from the butters, just for the record.
Okay. So we need to do a site walk.
Don't we normally do that once a formal application's in
Yes.
front of us?
Yeah, I just want to clarify, we'll end up going out there to do a site walk. I think it's gonna be a fun idea. As I took my grandkids out there, they thought it was wonderful.
That's awesome.
Curiosity, have you contacted seasonal cottages about this? Because when you first coming in, you had a bit of communication with them, and it was very receptive.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you,
I have spoken to them. There's 2 separate reps that they have now, and I've spoken to both of them. They actually both came to visit us proactively for other things that they were doing. And they both said, we love you guys and whatever you're doing, we support it. So they were just, as opposed to last time, they were kind of protesting us a little bit at the first planning board meeting. They showed up with signed petition and all that, and we eventually kind of won them over. And once it was built and they saw what it was, at that point, they were asking us to build them a walking path so they could just come over directly. Yeah. But yeah, they love it. And they said that they're supporting anything we do.
You may want to touch base with Ann about the list of abutters.
Okay.
There's there seems to be some confusion right now as to whether or not you have to notify every abutter in the park, in the Arundel cottages.
Oh.
Well, in the past, well, you're supposed to notify anybody that's within 200 feet, any abutter. But the property itself is within the 200 feet, but it's communal property. So that's a question that I don't know who can answer. Unless Jamel knows who can answer that question. I heard about that and I'm going, I have no idea.
And that's back to our last discussion from the other week, whether or not a condo association is considered a single property. And whether or not you
Right.
would, you send your letter
Except
to the
in this,
homeowners association.
in this
as
case,
opposed to each
there's
abutter.
the HOA and Joe Paulini's estate still has some of the property.
Yeah, because we
The
didn't have
question
to
becomes,
last
do we,
time.
do we notify everybody that's within 200 feet or every property that's within 200 feet, meaning we
No,
notify
it's-
everybody in the.
It would, be the question, from what I understand, the way it boils down is that you have to notify Cape Arundel cottages. Do you have to notify every single building in Cape Arundel? Some of those are well past the 200-foot line. So we don't, and I don't know the answer to that because it's part of the condo
Well,
association.
you could notify the HOA. That could notify the
Yeah.
residents of.
Yeah,
the
there's-
condo association.
I figured, talk to Jamel and talk to Ann about how that's.
Yeah,
gets worked
we didn't
out.
have to last time.
I'm sorry,
We didn't have to last time.
because the HOA wasn't in existence the last time.
Oh.
That's what I was gonna say was contact the HOA.
Yeah.
But at the same time, my experience more is better than less, so.
Yeah.
Yep.
Rather than the opposite.
Either way, I don't think that's a big deal. We have to notify him,
Yeah, the first time you went in, all you had to do was notify Joe.
Yeah.
But that's kind of a wholesale way
Yeah.
to take care of it,
Yeah,
is through the HOA.
Yeah, at least start
You get
maybe start
everybody.
the conversation with them at a meeting or something.
and you said her name was what?
Ann?
Ann?
Yeah,
She's the head of the HOA.
No,
She's
she's
in the planning
the
board.
planning,
Oh, okay.
she's the head of the planning department, is it? Or I don't know what her title is. I just go to her and say, Ann, I need this. She's the planning admin.
No,
No, in the
For the
town
town.
hall.
Oh, okay,
She's in the land use office.
Yeah.
She's
okay.
where the planning board,
Started.
the town planner is.
Do you have anything else for us? Anything that we can help you with,
No,
discussions?
I mean, if the board has any other thoughts or, ideas on the project, we'd love to hear anything, any direction you guys can give us is really helpful before we jump into this.
What's your
design.
timeline?
I'll let.
Approval this fall, excavating company is free to do the work over the winter and Castle Golf is free to come in the spring and start.
Ooh,
So you'll be ready for next summer?
Well, maybe midsummer.
Yeah.
I mean, we'd still have our original course that we would use.
okay.
my biggest thing that I alluded to would be as you're getting back and really starting to get close to that rear property line, just making sure we understand what the relationship there is between their residents back there and the property. What about, Andy, are you envisioning either new or amended state permits?
Yeah, we're certainly gonna need some kind of permit with the main DEP.
Yeah.
Our hope is that that's gonna be a stormwater permit. The way I've kind of laid it out here would meet those requirements. So yeah, there'll certainly be some stormwater facilities on site to accommodate this expansion. And whether those get rolled into the mini golf course or whether they're a separate entity, I don't know the answer to that yet, but yeah, there'll certainly be some kind of stormwater facility needed.
We did meet with Jim Lee too before he left to go to Kennybunk and had him take a look at the project. And he did measure the distance between the back of our parking lot and the other residences, and I think the closest one had 250 feet of forest buffer between them and us. So we did take that into consideration, and then I mean, for what it's worth, it will just be the parking lot that's in the back, so that's not, I wouldn't expect that would be a noise issue or anything.
Talk to all your other butters or anything?
We haven't talked
You
to,
have some butters here.
They're here right now.
yeah, these are our neighbors that are behind us, yeah. These are it's,
Bruce Pitt and Alan.
yeah, and the pits are the closest one to our property, and we have the 250 feet of forested buffer between us and them.
Just imagine how we're already on the buddy's list.
Huh?
We're not on your buddy's list, so you know we are the closest.
Oh, really?
What about our list?
In your package.
Oh, I didn't,
Yeah, just.
Who sends those letters?
Which one, where's your
You do.
property at?
Huh?
You do.
Mine?
It's your responsibility to get the list of the abutters and to mail out the notices.
And we mailed it, but we write the notices? Cause I don't remember doing this. last
Runs up
time.
in-
Do they, no, they
In
get,
between
they get the list
Prince
from, you get the list from Ann,
Right away. Yep.
and then you give it,
Yep.
you give it back to her. She'll tell you what that list looks like and what the cost of it is. I'm sure,
We have a
Do
lot
you know
of
how this works,
conversations
Andy? I
going
don't
on.
want to bother them.
Yeah.
Thank
yeah, that's where the conversation about who the abutters are.
So
'Cause
let's
she-
identify all the proper abutters on your map, so. Because right now, one abutter no longer owns that property.
Well,
So
on
you
the,
need to substitute out the Fritzes for the pits.
on the GIS,
you. Yeah,
that we have, it does indicate that this gentleman behind you owns the property, not the Fritzes anymore.
right,
Yeah.
yeah.
Which raised the question of where that other list came from. I have no idea.
I don't,
It may have been left over from the first time around when the abutters were completely different.
yeah, we haven't provided any abutters information to anybody. So I don't.
At any rate, any other questions from the board? And I think we will look forward to seeing the completed application and we can move forward. Deem it complete, have public hearings, do all that fun stuff.
Appreciate your help tonight. Thank you.
Thank you.
much. Have a good night, everyone.
And next up is Jamel. Do you have anything for us?
Not at this time.
Okay. Oh. Hang on, Paul's got something.
Seems based on what we were discussing tonight, when we are dealing with an association like this, maybe we ought to go get a ruling on who we need to notify.
We
Is it
don't-
just the condo association, for example, if I'm renting property within that box, you have to notify me?
No, we need to notify the property owners.
Yeah.
And we do not notify anybody. Ann provides them with a list.
And the town, we're all one happy
And,
team.
and that's part of the issue that we're having. We don't know. You know, Ann and I were talking about it earlier. Do we have to notify everybody in Cape Arundel?
Well, we have to understand what the rule is.
Right.
And how a condo association is defined, because it may be defined as a single entity. It
It
is.
probably is.
Is a condo association a single entity that has members, but the entity itself is the organization that we're dealing with? That's what we have to understand.
And-
This is the second
Well, I
issue.
think, I
that's
think
come
that,
up.
at this point, it's still an issue because some of the property is owned outside of the HOA.
Yep.
You know, it's
Okay, so
still,
in that
it's
case,
still
you'd
part
have
of
to
Joe
notify
Paulini's
people.
estate.
But are
Right.
you notifying 2 or 200? Because people that own the cottage. Okay, are also property owners, but they're part of the HOA. Who do you have to notify? Who has, what responsibilities they have? Maybe we need to go get a legal rule,
Oh, and we probably should.
you know?
You want to ask Leah that, Jamel?
Sure, I was gonna have the applicant do the work, but we can do that too.
I mean, it should be a
Well,
pretty straightforward
yeah.
question.
Should we have-
Go with Jamel.
What do you think? Should we have the applicant answer that question?
Scott, we need to know the rule before we can give it to them.
Yeah.
I think you guys need to know what that is, not the applicants. I mean, that's.
It's
'cause-
ultimately, it's up to them to propose something. But we need to know what they propose is correct or not.
Correct.
It's up to them to give you the.
Exactly.
Listen,
Right.
The neighbors,
Right.
you guys are not, but
Yeah.
you guys need to be clear on.
Who those neighbors are?
But we have to
And-
understand who we're responsible
And
to,
if
the
we know-
entity or the
If
individual
we know
members.
through, you know, Leo or whoever of that Ann knows that information, she can work
Right.
with Andy or whoever is pulling together that list.
Yeah, because
I can
well, that's
coordinate with
what,
Ann on that. Yeah.
that's what she was showing me, this morning when I stopped in. She said, look at the GIS, and she went and she hit, and she said, okay, who do we have to mail? And he gave her 300 names.
Right, well, I think the question can be easily, I think Leah can answer that question
Yeah.
pretty easily.
Yep.
I don't think it requires a lot of time.
No, I'm fine. I'm gonna meet with Ed tomorrow, and
Okay,
Yeah,
I do have one thing that I forgot. Leah did provide her draft findings of fact yesterday, I believe. And that'll be coming to the board for approval at your next meeting.
for which project?
For the appeal of the staff.
The appeal.
Oh,
So those findings the draft findings were sent along. I don't know if you guys all have them.
no, I will be handing them out after the meeting's over.
Okay, just wanted so the next meeting, that'll be an agenda item, I believe. To approve those.
Okay. Anything else?
Nope.
Somebody make a motion.
Motion to adjourn.
second.
Motion by Paul Green, seconded by Susan Roth to adjourn at